Hi, I'm Josh Blue, and welcome to the PATINS State Conference.
Here with Ann Higgins, who did a session for us this morning on e-learning for students with moderate and severe disabilities. Can you tell us in a few minutes a brief overview, sort of bullet points about that session, and what type of audience it's appropriate for?
Well, we took what we've learned for the last almost calendar year now that we've done a pilot with this, and talked about how we started, how we got teachers moving in the direction that we wanted to do it, and overcoming their fears about putting technology in the actual hands of the students and their own technology fears, and all of the details that kind of come with an e-learning outcome, whether it's for professional development, which is what our corporation does for professional development e-learning days, and then we also use it for inclement weather.
Okay.
So very different planning strategies for both of those topics. All of it takes a lot of work on teachers' part, but we've seen some really amazing results, some surprising results.
Yeah. For students with moderate and severe
For
disabilities?
students, nonverbal students that have shown us some things that they can do with the camera as the favorite tool on the iPad, and they drain the batteries on the iPad just by taking pictures of all the things that they do, and so we've gotten some very interesting pictures and some very insightful
yeah, stuff you probably wouldn't know otherwise.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
Cool.
Exactly.
Well, there was another session. Another presenter was doing something on distance learning, and so I'm interested in this concept because I think the concept of snow days as days off are going away, and we're looking at those as e-learning days, and I think that'll become more widespread in the next couple of years, which is a major shift. But it's an even bigger shift to include some of those kids with moderate and severe disabilities in that. And so I really appreciate what you're doing with that. Any general tips to keep in mind for including more of those students with moderate and severe disabilities in those sorts of opportunities?
I think it came to me at some point, it's not so much about what the student can do with the device, it's about what the adults can do with the device for students. And so we are exploring some flipped classroom ideas, doing some tutorials. Hi, my name is Mrs. Higgins, and today's an e-learning day, but I wanted to check in with you and tell you that this is what your schedule is going to be when you work with your parents, or that kind of thing. So we don't do anything with internet, so that's not an issue. We try to remove as many obstacles as we can. Some challenges, of course, are your behaviorist, your therapist, your OTPT speech, all those things that make...
Things that need to be face-to-face almost.
Exactly. But there are ways, if you sit down and are creative to think outside the box, you can come up with some strategies to implement.
Is there some resistance, some pushback from those therapists and those teachers who just don't want to do it any different than they've done it for 15 years?
I think the pushback is the fear, because their technology skills aren't where they think they need to be. They're not opposed to trying it, they just don't know where to start.
Right, okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. And then, so what about, so you mentioned here's what you're going to be doing with your parents. What about the students whose parents aren't able to be there to do things? Is there anything in place to handle that, or is that just kind of a variable that you can't control?
At this point, we have a situation similar to that in that we have a nursing home for medically fragile students within our cooperative, so we don't have parents with them.
Gotcha.
So it's a challenge, because then we're relying on that employer and the employees and so forth. So I haven't tackled that one yet. I haven't figured out how to work through that issue, but so far the rest of our parents have been involved, especially big proponents for inclement weather, because they like the idea of not making up the days at the end of the year.
Right. And I think a lot of districts are moving in this direction, because last year there were a lot of days that had to be made up. And so this makes sense on a lot of levels. And so there's that inclement weather aspect, but there's also, I get the feeling that you do these things on a regular basis anyway to allow for teacher professional development. How often does that happen?
We have 4 built-in days
Okay.
scheduled for professional development
Okay, 4 days for the school year.
for the school year.
That's great.
Yep.
That's great. So I think this serves the purpose of the snow days not being just lost days, but also teachers can't really get out of classrooms. And so, and we know they still need professional development, so this tackles both of those. So, topic I'm very interested in and appreciative of, and thankful that you're here. So thank you.
Thank you.